Well, I want to start off tonight by addressing a topic that's been in the news for the last few days, but man, if you were on social media at all, it blew up your feed. So I'm going to do very quickly an X, Y of Z's posts. So,
hey, Sarah.
So this is a segment where I talk about cultural things that I engage with online, whether it's on X, also on Facebook. Kind of gotten back into a little bit of Facebook interaction. It's a dicey game, but man, the interaction is huge. So today, Dr. Anthony Fauci was brought before a Senate committee that was headed up by Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky, and it was wild. Dr. Anthony Fauci, if you've had your head in the sand, was the head of NIH through the pandemic, had been the head of NIH for years and years and years, but specifically during the pandemic had predominant television time, was really the main voice. In fact, he was the science. It was the whole thing. Trust the science was code for trust Dr. Anthony Fauci. Now, I don't want to go into all this. I don't want to make a whole segment, or not a segment, but a whole episode on this. We are learning more and more and more. I plead the fifth. Great comment, Sarah. Yes. So yeah, today he got brought before that committee, and even though he has a presidential pardon that absolves him from any criminal litigation going back
auto-penned.
Yeah, going back to 2014, he refused to answer any questions. His diary has come out in the last few days, which very much revealed that he was lying, bold-faced, about most of everything happening during the pandemic. I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty or all the details with that. Again, you can go online. I have a very personal story regarding COVID. I'm very personally invested into a lot of these things. It has become more and more and more clear that I lost a good year of my life. I was in a coma for a month. I lost the use of my arms for a good year and a half. I almost died, was in the hospital for 3 months, and it really had very little to do with COVID, though I did have COVID pneumonia. It was mainly the CDC protocols in place for doctors. In threat of them losing their license, the protocol was not to prescribe any type of therapeutics, because if therapeutics showed any type of effectiveness, the NIH would not be able to get emergency use authorizations to push the vaccine, or to also prescribe people once they got to the hospital remdesivir. That's a whole nother story. Personally, it has dawned on me, it's become a thing, that COVID is not what almost killed me, but abuse of power by non-elected bureaucrats who we've come to find out are evil people. That are egomaniacal, that don't have our best interest in mind, that we should not have trusted. Now, I don't want to, again, relitigate the past. Maybe some of you really did listen to the CDC. They're based in Atlanta, held in high regard. These are people that we should be trusting. These are the experts. We should be able to rely on their advice, that the things that they're saying we can trust are coming from a good place. Come to find out, 6 feet distancing had no science. Masks had no science. So many things. The protocol that doctors were forced to implement was send people home, hope they get better. Most did. Or for them to get really, really sick so that they'd have to go to the hospital, because that's the only way that you could administer remdesivir, because it had to be through an IV. That killed a lot of people. And by the time you got to a hospital, you were that deep in COVID pneumonia, your chances of survival diminished greatly, especially if then you had to be ventilated. I'm one of the few people. I was ventilated for 65 days, survived. The Lord healed me. There's no other explanation for it. Now, the reason I bring it up, the whole point of this, is that there is a lesson that we all need to take a moment and think about. And that's who we trust. Teachers. I've said this in the show in the past, like, you need to be very careful who you listen to, who you place yourself under. Because undoubtedly, the people that you trust are the people that will have an influence. If you sit under a pastor, that pastor, the longer you sit under them, will have an influence, will have an impact. You have to judge their character, their intent. Like, you have to be Berean in that sense. And I use kind of a Christianese phrase. There was Berea was a town. Paul addresses the Bereans, and he says, you guys challenged everything. You tested everything. You thought for yourself. You weren't sheep. You should do that with your pastor. You should study to show yourself approved unto God, a workman. You should never take something at face value. If you go to Calvary 316, my church, don't take anything that I say as just gospel truth without fact checking it, without studying it, without looking into it on your own. And if you find something that I've said that is an error, challenge me on it. And if I'm wrong, I'll own it. And I've done that before. But we shouldn't be sheep. We shouldn't blindly accept anything that anyone says, even if it's President Trump, because he was the president during the pandemic. He gave Anthony Fauci a platform, and he's never apologized for that either. So my point is just with the revelations that we're seeing and the reality that so much of what many people just accepted as fact, it's crazy. The trust the science guy pled the fifth a lot today. Science pled the fifth and wouldn't answer questions. And I think this is just one of those moments, again, not to get too deep into the weeds, where we need to think for ourselves with the Bible, but with everything. We need to challenge the algorithm. We need to be free thinkers. We need to go to Scripture and let Scripture be the basis of truth, and to own that and be independent with that. You guys know what I'm saying? You kind of feeling that? I didn't want to get political. I just wanted to take something in the culture, an X, Y, and Z post, and just make a point of who you listen to has an influence, and we should always be careful on who we listen to. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? Any comments? Trump didn't give him anything. Fauci took the spotlight to try to recoup money lost.
That's a response to Ryan, who said Trump gave him the spotlight.
So I would gravitate more towards Ryan. I hate to say this, Jamie, but Trump's the president of the United States, and if it's simply like I'll give you another example. Trump made a terrible decision by placing his vice president Mike Pence in charge of Operation Warp Speed. Trump in his first administration, and I don't think I'm too far into the weeds to say the biggest criticism, he did not surround himself with the right people. Paul Manafort was his chief of his campaign manager, not the best guy. There's a bunch of people that I think even in Bill Barr, the head of DOJ, maybe not the best guy to have had in that particular position. Trump, if we can be fair and criticize fairly, I think Trump has to this day not apologized for the vaccine, which has been incredibly suspect. He pushed that. He did not mandate it, and that's true. Biden did that. But Trump was president. Trump could have cut Dr. Fauci's platform off. He shared stage with him, and there was no one in Trump's circle at that time that seems to be giving him a true fact. Now he's in the second term has done a much better job of that. I think RFK Jr. is a wonderful. Just want to make it clear, I'm no Trump hater. No, Ryan, no, I got you. And this is again, I have voted for Trump 3 times, but I will challenge anything Trump says. And I think the great criticism of Trump supporters is that even Trump made the comment, I could kill someone in Times Square and it wouldn't matter at all. They're going to support me regardless. No, that shouldn't be the case. We should test and verify everything anyone says. I don't trust a politician as far as I can throw him, which is not very far. I want to see action and deed. And so, again, without getting too politically engaged, Dr. Anthony Fauci seems to be a very evil, maniacal individual. Francis Collins, Deborah Birx, there was a bunch of people. The heads of the Redford, the head of the CDC. Trump was not getting good information, and there were people that he had around him that did not have his best interest in mind, and it did him a great disservice. And I think that's a fair criticism, a fair critique. I would love to see Trump come out and show some humility about COVID and acknowledge maybe some of the things that he got wrong. I remember, I forget who it was. It was John Rich, who's the country star. he made Trump made a comment to him in one of the rallies leading up to the last election that every time he mentioned the vaccine, his rallies, people would boo, and Trump didn't understand why people were booing. And Rich made the comment to Trump, and if it wasn't Rich, it was somebody else, made the comment like, you don't realize how many people were negatively affected by this vaccine, and you're touting it as some great accomplishment, and your own base of support disagrees with you. And Trump started backing off of that. But again, I would love to see politicians apologize. Today, I would have loved to have seen Anthony Fauci, who has a presidential pardon and could have spoken the truth, say, I got it all wrong, and he can't be prosecuted. To show some humility from a public official, to say, I was wrong, these are the areas I was wrong. You know, I think that, you know, the one thing about America is we are very gracious people. Bill Clinton had an affair, didn't really own it, got caught with it, but he got reelected. People are very, very, the American people are very forgiving and merciful, but there needs to be some measure of humility. And man, if you have any criticism about the political scape, where do you see humility in any facet of government? You don't see it at all. And I think that's a shame. Now, enough of that. We're moving right along.